Good morning. I'm Mitch Mitchell, Chair of the San Diego Housing Commission and Board of Commissioners, and a member of the Housing Commission's Audit Committee. It is currently 9:04 a.m. on November 2nd, 2022, and I am calling to order the special meeting of the Audit Committee. The process we're using for today's meeting is authorized by Government Code Section 949 or 54953E, which was added by Assembly Bill 361. This allows the Audit Committee to use teleconferencing and provide the public with an opportunity to address the committee through a call-in or internet-based option during a proclaimed state of emergency. San Diego City Council on October 11th, 2022, and again yesterday, November 1st, declared that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of members to meet safely in person. The council also declared that this applies to all boards, commissions, and committees of the city of San Diego. Today's special meeting is occurring by video conference with all committee members, Housing Commission staff, and general counsel participating by video. For the record, I will ask each committee member to indicate your presence as I say your name. Commissioner Klumpner?
Here.
Good morning. Commissioner Hester? Commissioner Hester, you may be on mute. Yes, you are. Commissioner Hester, we can't hear you. You want to mute and then unmute, and let's see what happens. We were reading your list. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay, wonderful.
Let me try one more time.
Oh, it worked. No, now you've turned it off. Try it now. Nope. It was working, before you did whatever you did. Okay.
It's a weaker speaker. So
Okay. It's coming through loud and clear, so you're good.
thank you.
No members of the public are in attendance. However, members of the public may watch the video conference and hear the audio of today's meeting, which is being streamed live online. The agenda for today's meeting included a link to the website for the San Diego Housing Commission Board of Commissioners, where the public can access the live streaming for today's meeting. The public has been provided with an alternative opportunity to provide comments to the committee through an online comment form and a toll-free phone number. A link to the online comment form was included on the agenda for today's special meeting, which was posted on the San Diego Housing Commission website, www.sdhc.org, on October 27th. A revised agenda was posted on the Housing Commission's website on October 28th to add item 20, the election of the chair and vice chair of the audit committee. The agenda and the public comment form explain that comments about the item on the agenda will be read into the record if they were submitted by 4 p.m. yesterday, November 1st. Non-agenda public comments submitted by 8 o'clock this morning will also be read into the record. In addition, members of the public who wish to listen to today's meeting by phone and speak on an item may call the toll-free number and that is included on the agenda. The toll-free number is 833-548-0276. When prompted, callers should enter the meeting ID number, which is provided, and we have a new number for those that are listening. It's 919-4105-5156. Again, the correct meeting ID number is 919-4105-5156. A participant ID number is not required, just press pound. Members of the public will remain muted until they are called upon to speak. When the comment period for the non-agenda public comment or an agenda item is introduced, those who wish to speak should press *9 on the phone to raise their hand. Staff will inform callers when it is their turn to speak. When this occurs, the caller will need to press *6 to unmute themselves. If a caller begins to comment on an item that is different from the item currently being considered, they will be muted and asked to raise their hand at the correct time. Members of the public will have 3 minutes each to provide their comments. However, if a large number of callers wish to speak on a single agenda item, the comments will be limited to 1 minute each. Members of the public may also watch video of today's meeting through the live video streaming available through the Housing Commission's website. Today's agenda included a link to the Housing Commission's website where the public can access the live streaming for today's meeting. And now we will go to the first item of the agenda, unless there are any commissioner comments before we get started. Seeing no commissioner comments before we get started. First item on the agenda today is item 20, the election of the chair and vice chair of the audit committee. As I mentioned, the phone line for today's meeting is 833-548-0276. Callers should press *9 to raise their hands if they wish to provide comments about the election of the chair and vice chair. No written public comments were submitted for this item, and I will now ask our Vice President of Communications, Scott Marshall. Scott, do we have any callers for this item?
We do not have any hands raised to comment on this item. Thank you.
Committee members, do we have any comments, or do you have a motion regarding the election of the committee chair and vice chair?
I'd move to nominate Commissioner Hester for chair, and I haven't really thought about vice chair. Commissioner Mitchell, would you be up for being vice chair?
I will be up for being vice chair. That's fine. Okay, so we have a motion. Let's do this first. We have a motion by Commissioner Klumner to elect Commissioner Hester as the committee chair, and myself as vice chair. Do we have a second to that motion?
I suppose I will second that motion.
I'm glad to hear that. We have a second by Commissioner Hester. Do we have any further discussion? If not, I will call the roll. As I say your name, please state your vote on the motion. Commissioner Klumner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hester.
I,
And I will add my vote in favor, and the motion carries 3 votes in favor to 0 opposed. Now, the newly elected chair, Commissioner Hester, will take over the duties of running the agenda for today's meeting.
thank you. We will now proceed with the non-agenda public comment. Once again, the phone line for today's meeting is 833-548-0276. I believe that's the correct number, right, Scott? If you can confirm.
Yes, that's correct. The phone number is correct.
Thank you. To provide non-agenda public comments should press *9 to raise their hands. This is the time members of the public may provide comments to the audit committee about topics that are not on today's agenda, but involve the subject within the committee's area of responsibility. The committee cannot take action on non-agenda comments. Non-agenda public comments for today's meeting. Do we have any callers for non-agenda public comments?
We do not have any hands raised to provide comments or non-agenda public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the non-agenda public comments. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the Audit Committee meeting November 3rd, 2021. Members of the public who wish to comment on the minutes should press *9 to raise their hands. No written public comments were submitted regarding the minutes. Do we have any callers at this time?
No, we do not have any hands raised to provide comments on the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. This concludes the public comment period for the minutes. I am the only committee member present at the time on November 3rd, 2021. So committee members Klumpner and Chair Mitchell or Vice Chair Mitchell for this purposes will be abstaining on the minutes, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
I do not have any changes on the minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and approve them. Is there anything else I need to do, Charles?
No,
in
no,
terms of moving?
that's fine.
Okay. So we will now proceed with the items for discussion on today's agenda. The PowerPoint presentations were emailed to committee members yesterday, November 1, and are posted on the Housing Commission's website. Item 100 is the independent auditor's report and presentation. Members of the public who wish to speak on this item should press *9 on their phones to raise their hand. We will take public comments after the independent auditor's presentation. No written public comments were submitted regarding this item. Our Chief Financial Officer, Suket Dayal, will be introducing this item. So please begin when you're ready, Suket.
Thank you and congratulations, Chair Hester. Good morning, Commissioners. Pleased to introduce our auditors and want to thank them for their guidance. We have Amadou Bokar, who's a partner at Cohn Resnick, and Jackie Tang, Senior Manager at Cohn Resnick. We have a slide deck. They have a slide deck that's all queued up. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Suket Dayal. For everyone, my name is Amadou Alenshar Bokar. I'm the audit partner for the San Diego Housing Commission audit at Cohn Resnick LLP. And I'm here with Jackie Tang, who's the audit senior manager. And I will pass it to Jackie. He can go through our summary deck.
Awesome. Thanks, Amadou. Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Tang. I'm audit senior manager here at Cohn Resnick. Today, we just have a couple slides here as far as the audit results for June 30th, 2020. Included in the board package, you should have our draft reports. We are offering an unmodified opinion. So depending on all the various types of opinions that we can offer, from unmodified all the way through disclaimer, this is a clean opinion. And the opinion actually carries through the financial report of the agency in addition to the programmatic audits under uniform guidance of the federal expenditures. So It's a clean report all across the board. There's no material weakness or significant deficiencies that we are reporting that or discovered included in the audit. So kudos to the finance team on that. That's over the financial report and on the program side, control-wise. So next slide, please. There are a couple points that we are required to communicate to those charged with governance and management. So everybody on this call, if you will. Included in that report, there are significant estimates from management, and that's the normal course of business. 3 topics here: the loan portfolio, that you'll see allowances that report on historical collections, and then depreciation of the capital assets. That's just based on the economic useful life of the capital assets, and then accrued compensated expenses. That's really based on current pay rates, what's eligible PTO, and things of that nature. If you go to the next slide here. And then just to wrap it up cleanly, last several points, there's no difficulties that we're reporting with management. This was a big year as far as financial reporting. There are some adoption of accounting principles, and particularly the lease guidance. So if you're looking at the report that's now reported on the balance sheet as opposed to the income statement, and I'm sure Suket's team will kind of cover the basis of that. And then there's no audit adjustments that we posted or recommended to the management team as included in the audit here. So clean across the board, no audit adjustments, no material weaknesses, and no difficulties with management for the year. Anything you want to add here, Amadou? And we're happy to take some questions from the board or anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I think we can pass it on, and we will be here to answer any comments or provide any clarification as needed. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
You're on mute, Chair Hester.
Apologize. We're now ready to take public comments from callers at this time.
There are no hands raised to provide public comments on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do not have any callers at this time. So this concludes the public comment period for item 100. We will receive the Chief Financial Officer summary report and presentation, which is the next item on the agenda, before we proceed with action on the independent auditor's report. The Chief Financial Officer summary report and presentation is item 101 on the agenda. Members of the public who wish to speak on this item should press *9 to raise their hand. Public comments after the staff presentation. No written public comments were submitted regarding this item. Chief Financial Officer Suket Dayal will present this item. Please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Hester and Commissioners. Good morning. I'm Suket Dayal, Executive Vice President of Business Administration and Chief Financial Officer, here with Christelle Vanderwood, Vice President of Financial Services Operations. We're here today to present the results of our fiscal year 2022 annual financial audit. Next slide, please. So we'll start with a quick summary of the annual audit and then dive into some numbers and conclude with the operational highlights. I wanted to take just a step back and provide some context for the audit. So state law requires that all general purpose local governments within 6 months of the close of the fiscal year publish a complete set of financial statements. These statements need to be audited in accordance with the generally accepted auditing standards by a firm of licensed certified public accountants. Now, as a component of the City of San Diego and pursuant to this requirement, we issue the annual comprehensive financial report of the San Diego Housing Commission for the fiscal year that ended on June 30th, 2022. The audit cycle is like a marathon. It runs 8 months, starts with finalizing entity audits, then goes into filing tax returns, proceeds to consolidating audits, ensuring submissions of numbers, drafting reports. We've worked very closely with the City of San Diego and the independent auditors before we come to this committee to request your approval. I'd like to take a quick moment and just recognize the amazing finance team and all the talent. This is truly a tremendous accomplishment. Many of our team members are attending this meeting. This is our Super Bowl, so thanks to all the outstanding work that you do, and go team. Can we go to the next slide, please? So as stated earlier, the Housing Commission's financial statements have been audited by Cohen Resnick. As Jackie mentioned, just to reiterate some of the comments, we received an unmodified audit opinion. There were no comments or findings on our internal controls or business processes. I do want to point out one thing that Jackie did say is the new accounting standard issued by the Government's Accounting Standard Boards, or GASB, that we have adopted in fiscal year 2022. GASB statement number 87 are leases. Now, this pronouncement deals with the classification of a lease and requires governments to record future lease payments as lease receivables, as well as deferred inflows of resources. This was a significant undertaking and increased our assets and deferred inflows by about $93 million. Crystal will talk more about it when it comes to the assets and liabilities. Can we go to the next slide, please? This slide just points out some additional GASB pronouncements that were adopted in fiscal year 2022. None of them had a very significant impact on our financial statements. One item just to note is GASB number 98 did officially change the name from the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report to now what we call the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. We love our acronyms and we call it the ACFR. Let's go to the next slide, please. So let's move to the financial summaries. In fiscal year 2022, Housing Commission received more than $574 million in revenue, and the expenses were approximately $555 million. Next slide, please. A quick breakdown by funding type. Again, our funding sources are federal, state, and local. We continue to receive a significant portion of our revenue from federal sources, funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the U.S. Treasury Department totaled nearly $470 million. Next slide, please. Quick comparison of revenues looking over fiscal year 22 and 21. We see an increase in grant revenues, which increased the housing assistance grants. These are in the orange and dark blue colored blocks on the bar graph, and that approximately accounted for about 88% of our total revenue earned. Next slide, please. Expenses comparing over 2 years, we see an increase in the housing assistance expenses. This includes the City of San Diego's emergency assistance, the HSAP program, as well as increase in our housing choice voucher and our mainstream voucher programs. We also see an increase in operating expenses in fiscal year 22, and this is staffing, administrative, and utilities, and other costs, many of them related to the COVID-19 programs. With that, I'll pass it on to Christelle to go over our net positions. Christelle?
Thank you, Suket. Next slide, please. So these bar graphs depict our assets, liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position, which is also referred to as our balance sheet for fiscal year 2022 and 2021. You can see that while the general composition did not change year over year, the Housing Commission has over $1 billion in assets. The top section is our assets, and the increase was over $104 million, which is mainly due to the addition of the lease receivable of over $93 million as a result of the previously mentioned GASB 87 implementation. The bottom section is our liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. Net position is the agency's accumulated net worth since inception. This is the net value of all the agency's assets as if they were liquidated and all outstanding debt and obligation were paid. Deferred inflow is new in fiscal year 2022. The $93 million is also a result of the GASB 87 implementation. This represents most monies to be received in future periods. Next slide, please. This is a quick recap of the changes in the balance sheet as previously discussed. Next slide, please. So I'd like to take this opportunity to provide some additional detail in relation to the net position categories as designated by the Government Accounting Standard Board. The net investment in capital assets, brick and mortar, or properties, cost at acquisition plus building improvements, less depreciation or any loans outstanding on the assets. The restricted net position is primarily made up of loan receivable that are federally backed. And as required by GASB accounting definition, the remaining balance is classified as unrestricted net position for financial reporting purposes only. However, this classification is not indicative that these funds are available for discretionary use. We'll go over this a little bit more in the next slide. Next slide, please. So this slide further breaks out our unrestricted net position by category. As you can see, there's no additional fund available for use. About 272 million is existing affordable housing loans. 134 million is committed by board resolution and the 2023 budget obligations, with about 14 million set aside as a contingency reserve. Finally, this leaves us with 10 million for property replacement reserve, which are to be used for maintaining over 2,000 SDHC owned properties or units. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to go over a few operational highlights. In addition to providing housing assistance to more than 16,000 families, the Rental Assistance Division provided mobility counseling and assistance, a security deposit loans to help family move to community with more opportunities, and the award-winning Achievement Academy, which helped participants find jobs as well as increase earnings. Next slide, please. Now for our real estate division activity. 859 total affordable units were created this past year through housing partnership developments. Next slide, please. The Housing Commission's commitment to find homelessness has helped support many successful programs that align with the city's action plan on homelessness. Through fiscal year 2022, the Housing Commission has worked to expand their presence in relation to homelessness by partnering to support new shelters, including the Harm Reduction Shelter, Rachel's Promise Women's Shelter, and the Rosecrans Shelter. Administer the Security Deposit Plus and Eviction Prevention programs, and expand the Rapid Rehousing programs. Next slide, please. The Housing Commission administered the City of San Diego's HSAP program, or Housing Stability Assistance Program. As of September 2022, we have disbursed over 218 million to help 18,318 San Diegans. Next slide, please. And finally, I would like to conclude by highlighting that we continue to receive Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, 14 years for annual comprehensive financial reports, and 12 years in a row for the popular annual report. Next slide. We'd like to thank the Audit Committee for their support, and we're available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now take any public comments from callers on this item. Do we have any callers at this time?
All right, we do not have any callers. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the public comment period for item 101. Item 102 on the agenda is this committee's recommendation to the Board of Commissioners regarding the approval of the annual report and single audit reports. Public has been provided with the opportunity to provide comments on the auditor's report and the Chief Financial Officer summary and presentation for items 100 and 101. So we will proceed now with committee questions and comments. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments on this item?
Chair Hester, I was just going to comment that obviously it was good to hear all the initial comments about the cooperation of the staff on the audit. And I think the thing that stands out most is the big jump in grant revenue to 2022 year over year from 2022 to 2021. And I'm assuming that that for basically it was just all the assistance money that was coming in due to the COVID impacts that created the majority of that increase. Is that fair?
Large portion of it was. We also did see an increase in our mainstream voucher program, which also added some money to it as well. But the bulk of it, yes, that's fair.
Okay. And the mainstream, I think the mainstream voucher program and money that came in, that was something I think if I recall correctly, that was somewhat unexpected, but we knew that it was being discussed. Is that fair?
Yeah, new vouchers are always a plus for us and something we always look forward to, especially an agency like ours, we're very successful with vouchers, whether it's our HCV vouchers, mainstream vouchers. So yes, it was, it always is a little bit of a surprise, but it's a pleasant surprise, yeah.
That's fair. Okay. I didn't see anything else. I guess I had one question about the Achievement Academy, and as we look ahead at the audit, I mean, so we run the Achievement Academy as its own separate line item that has oversight. But so again, we have it listed under the rental assistance division. And so can you give me a little more insight into that? I know what the academy is, but it's listed in the audit as a separate entity. Is it because we're getting specific money in for that?
So the Achievement Academy programmatically, Stephanie, who heads the Achievement Academy, reports up to Asusena, which is part of the rental assistance division. Okay. And way back when we had just started, it was an MTW initiative. So it basically flew from the rental assistance division. We do allocate some MTW funds for the Achievement Academy. We also get some grants, ROS grants that are specific to the Achievement Academy, and that's the reason why they're listed.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we get some grants for that specific. Okay.
ROS grants, yeah, to cover the staff. Yes.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Commissioner Hester, Vice Chair or Chair Hester, I have no further comments.
Commissioner Klumpner.
No comments. Thank you, everybody, for the report and all your work on this. Obviously, it is good news to see a clean audit, and we appreciate everything that's gone into this, and also just appreciate the overall financial picture. I know that we see this in bits and pieces, for example, in the budgeting process and everything, but it's nice to kind of step back and look at all that and the number of units created and where our revenue is coming from and where it's going to. And so it has kind of spurred some thought about some of these things and the changes as we come out of the one-time assistance or the short-term revenue that we got. But I think for the purposes of this committee, have everything that I need, and some of those things we can discuss in policy and budget contexts. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. That sounded like a motion.
Yeah. Motion to accept. Do we accept both reports, or what does our motion need to be here?
This is a motion to recommend that the Housing Commission Board of Commissioners accept the approve the fiscal year 2022 annual comprehensive financial report and single audit reports.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, Vice Chair, Audit. We have a motion by committee member Klumpner and a second by committee member Mitchell. As I say your name, please state your vote on the motion. Ryan Klumpner.
Aye.
Joanna Hester. Aye. Mitch Mitchell.
Aye.
Committee members have voted in favor of the motion, and commissioners, and it is unanimous. So the motion carries. This concludes the audit committee special meeting today. This meeting is adjourned at 9:32 a.m. Thank you all very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.